Hello, everybody. This is Jarrett with Pit Lane Starts review of the 2021 Emilia Grand Prix. Max Verstappen won his first race of the year and an 11th of his career, while Lewis Hamilton finished second and got fastest lap to hold on to his championship lead by a single point. Lando Norris tied his career-high P3, rounded out the podium. Before the race itself, there's a little bit of pre-race news to talk about. It was announced today that there will be a second U.S. race added to the 2022 calendar, the Miami Grand Prix. F1 and Miami Gardens, the local government, agreed to a 10-year deal to hold the race on a street circuit around the Hard Rock Stadium, the home of the NFL's Miami Dolphins. The first race in Miami will be held in the second quarter of 2022 and not combined with the U.S. Grand Prix in Austin. It most likely will be paired up with the Canadian Grand Prix in either early to mid-June. As for the race itself, it was a wet one. And as with any wet race, it had its fair share of action. Things got started before the race even started, even before the formation lap. On the reconnaissance lap on the way to the grid, Sebastian Vettel had some brake issues, which caused him to start from the pit lane and cop a 10-second start-go penalty for not having his tires on 5 minutes before the race start. The issue with this penalty isn't that it was issued, is that when it was issued, Sebastian Vettel expressed his disappointment with the stewards, stating that it didn't have to take as long as it did to issue the penalty. It was he ended up having to serve it on lap 22. I mean, I do have to agree with him. Either the tires are on or they are not. There's no gray area in the situation. They could have said when the race started that since he did not have his tires on, he was going to have to have a stop-go penalty, and that was that. We didn't have to wait until lap 20 and didn't have to serve it on lap 22. Could have given him the most amount of time to make it up and have the best race he could, but at the end it did not matter as he did retire on lap 62 with gearbox issues. But once the race did start, we were treated to a Verstappen-Hamilton battle right off the bat into the first section of corners. Lewis Hamilton did come out in front, but not without some damage to his front wing. Yuki Tsunoda gained up 5 positions to go up to 15th from 20th after his massive qualifying crash. And also on the first lap, Latifi went out after colliding with Mazepin. And for the first time with their issue with Mazepin, he wasn't the one at fault, but we'll get to him later. Anywho, the safety car period that ensued was an eventful one. Perez lost it into a gravel trap and then gained a penalty for himself for overtaking under the safety car, retaking his positions that he lost while in the gravel trap. And a little after that, Mick Schumacher lost his front wing, colliding with the wall near the pit exit, trying to get some temperature into his tires. But once we got racing again, Lando Norris continued his great weekend. After McLaren ordered a switch of him and Ricardo, Norris was able to show the pace that he had all weekend and fight his way up to second place, which was second place. On lap 28, the track started drying out and the team started to go onto the slick tires. Verstappen was the first of the leaders. Red Bull attempted the overcut on Hamilton, and it worked. Verstappen's stop was 2 seconds faster than Hamilton's. The Mercedes crew struggled on their pit stop for a 4-second pit stop, and Red Bull was their usual efficient self and allowed Verstappen to take the lead that he would not relinquish. But on lap 31, it all kicked off. Hamilton went into the wall while trying to lap Russell, but Hamilton was able to keep it going. But then only a few meters later, Russell was trying to overtake Bottas. And a big collision taking them both out of the race, brought out the red flag. Massive disappointment again for Russell at Imola. The second time he crashed out while in a points position. Would have been the first time that Williams had gotten points since 2019. Would have been Russell's first points in a Williams. Very disappointing, and he was upset. He was upset with Bottas after the collision. He immediately went over to Bottas before Bottas was able to even get out of his car and had a very angry conversation that pretty sure included a few 4-letter words and ended with a slap to Bottas's head. it was not obvious who was at fault of the situation, even if anyone was really at fault. The FIA agrees that there was no one at fault. But I do disagree with Mercedes boss's Toto Wolff's comments that Russell should have backed off because he was racing a Mercedes. There's two things to go with that. One, Mercedes is on the same track as Williams. They're in the same race. It's Bottas was in 8th, and Russell in a Williams was in 9th, and they were racing. If it wasn't for the collision, there was a very good chance that Russell would have overtaken him. And also, Russell is a Mercedes Juniors driver. He has to Mercedes is a team that expects to win races, expects to win championships, expects to win the double constructors and drivers every single year. And if he's going to eventually replace either Bottas or Hamilton, depending on who leaves first, he has to show that he's willing to race anyone. So I think I understand Wolff's being angry that both one of his works drivers, Bottas, and his junior driver was out of the race, but Russell has to go for that. Otherwise, he's never going to be a Merc driver. So, anyways, once we got things started, slightly before things got started, Kimi Räikkönen copped a 30-second penalty for not regaining the positions that he did before the safety cars lights went out when sliding on the way to the start finish line for a rolling restart. Now you may ask why Räikkönen got a penalty for not overtaking, and Perez got a penalty for overtaking, and the FIA's reasoning is that Perez did it under a safety car period. The race was still going, whereas Räikkönen did it while the race was paused under a red flag, and the race was going to have a rolling restart and not a standing restart as they've done before. That was the FIA. It sounds confusing, but that is the FIA's explanation, and it kind of makes sense. Like when Räikkönen did it, the race wasn't going on. When a safety car is out, and it's a safety car period, the race is still progressing. So, yeah, that is the FIA's explanation. Anyways, after the restart, Hamilton had an amazing drive, as he usually does when he has to recover. Remember Monza when he copped a penalty and fought his way back. He did the same here at Imola, and he got back to second, got his fastest lap. Norris did everything he could to keep Hamilton back, but he stated on he was simply too quick. The Lando was on old soft tires. It wasn't a matter of if, but when. Maybe Norris could have held out for a couple more laps. Maybe he holds on to second, but there's a reason why Lewis Hamilton won 7 world championships and is going to win 100 races, is because he's just simply the best driver on the grid. Anyways, it was on lap 60 where Hamilton finally got past. And on the last lap, Mazepin spun, because we can't have an F1 session without a Mazepin spin. Anywho, I thought it was an outstanding race. I want to hear what you guys think. Tell me in the comments. What do you think of the penalties? Who was that? Was anyone at fault with the Bottas Russell collision? Either way, I don't know. I thought it was an outstanding race. Anyways, we have the week. Well, at least Mercedes and Williams have a week to rebuild their cars, a couple of weeks to rebuild the cars before we do it all again at Portimao in Portugal. And we'll see you next time.